Make sure you keep your devices updated. So ensure that your devices, your laptop, your smartphone, any Wi-Fi hotspot devices are updated with the latest software, security patches. This helps minimize the risk of connectivity issues that can be caused by outdated software. I've had that happen once I updated my computer or my Zoom. It worked again fine. So I've definitely had that happen. Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. So I've decided I want to start doing listener request episodes on this podcast. So I want to give a shout out to Bridget H for a suggestion or for a listener request that she sent me. I get emails all the time saying, you should do this on the podcast or you should talk about this in the Facebook group. So I decided I'm going to start doing these like mini episodes that are informational, but also answering your questions when you send them to me. So send me your questions if you have them. So Bridget H says, she sent me an email and she said, you should do a podcast on finding places to work outside of your home and include how to work in your car without killing your battery like I did. LOL. So it's funny, but who hasn't had this experience if you're a digital nomad or a traveling therapist or have even tried to work outside of your home briefly? I know I have multiple times. So for this episode, I want to explore the world of alternative workspaces when you're traveling or just when you want to be out of your home to do sessions if you don't have an office. So I'm going to just delve into some Wi-Fi specifics and discuss some of the HIPAA privacy considerations for those of us that are traveling therapists and are trying to work while we see the world. So this episode is for you, for all those traveling therapists, digital nomads, and anyone who wants to change the scenery while they work. So let's dive in. Okay, many of us have been working from home for quite some time now. But sometimes you just want to get out of the house just to maintain your sanity or to find inspiration in nature or something like that. And for the rest of us, some of us, like me, we're full-time digital nomads. So we're constantly on the move. We're constantly on the move and always looking for ways to still see our clients. And to do this, we need really good Wi-Fi. So this last month for me was a bit rough, honestly. I've had a lot of stuff going on and I'm going to do an episode in a couple weeks just to update everybody. I even skipped my personal update that I usually do every single month because I just had so much going on. I didn't even have time to record one. I had time, but I didn't feel like recording one. Maybe I should put it that way. So as I was saying, this last month has been rough just with the Wi-Fi piece. So we got to a great place on the beach in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We were super excited about it. We're overlooking the ocean, but the Wi-Fi is just horrible. It's so horrible. It's not even password protected. So it's like a condo building. Every single unit has open Wi-Fi. So you can literally walk down the hall or even in your unit and connect to all of the neighbors around you if you want to. Their Wi-Fi is completely not password protected. And like always, and what I always recommend to any traveling therapist is reach out and email or on the Airbnb app, message the owner to ask about the Wi-Fi ahead of time. I always ask for a speed test. Probably 75% of the time they say, I don't even know what a speed test is, but hey, it's really good Wi-Fi. And that's what happened with this one. I have done this multiple times. I'm just like super nice. And I just want to take people's word for it. I don't think people would lie. But anyway, with this one, I asked. She swore that she did Zoom meetings from this unit all the time. She said, oh, I work from it all the time. It's wonderful, blah, blah, blah. It works perfectly. I was like, okay, thank God. This is going to be great. It's going to be a beautiful place and we're going to have good Wi-Fi. So anyway, needless to say, it's terrible. I did a speed test on it and it was 2 up and I think 2 down. And if anybody knows what that means, it's terrible. You can't even upload a video reliably in this place. So we booked it for a month. No refunds, of course. This time I was so mad and so pissed off because you have to have reliable internet to conduct a business, 8 income streams like me, and still see clients. This was the first time I've really done this. I reached out to the woman just raging mad. It just made me so mad. And it reminded me of this meme that's, if you really want to know if someone's dateable, go somewhere with them where the Wi-Fi is spotty and see how they behave, because I'm pretty much like a total lunatic. If that tells you anything, I might not be dateable. If Ken's listening to this, he might attest to just how crazy I get, because I ask, I prepare. It's just so important to me. And when it happens like this, you can't get a refund, usually. But with this case, I did. I emailed her and said, basically, you told me the Wi-Fi was great. It's terrible. I sent her a speed test. I said, I want to request a partial refund because I'm having to leave here every single day and go to the public library to conduct business. And I'm going to have to do this for a month. So she agreed, and she refunded us $1,000. I'm thankful for that, but it's still not even worth it because it's been such a pain in my butt to call these public libraries. There's 2 of them in Gulf Shores, and they're booked on different days. So I'm having to call back and forth and schedule different times and keep track of that. So it's been a real headache. So this episode is timely, to say the least. All right. So we all know as traveling therapists, we have to have a reliable internet connection, because it's essential to conducting our online therapy business and sessions and managing our practices. However, Wi-Fi malfunctions can happen. They do happen, as I just described. So first, I want to go over some tips to help you stay prepared in these situations. So first, always have a backup Wi-Fi option. And in the situation I just described, we did have a backup Wi-Fi option. I'll talk about that and what was going on with that too. So always have a backup plan in case the Wi-Fi goes down. And one popular option is to use your mobile hotspot. So most smartphones have a hotspot feature that allows you to share your cellular connection with all of your devices. So if you have a good Wi-Fi signal and you have unlimited data on your cell plan, you can use your cell phone. You just navigate to personal hotspot and you open the share settings, and your other devices can jump onto that hotspot and use that hotspot for Wi-Fi. So that's one option. And I tried to do that, but apparently this place on the beach just is a dead zone. It just doesn't get reception. So that failed me. And then there are other options. There's several mobile hotspots on the market for digital nomads. And some of the best options I just wanted to put down here, the Skyroom Solus. We have that one. We activated the Skyroom and it actually did pick up a signal. The way it works is it finds any cell tower that's nearby, and it connects to that cell tower and lets you use that as a hotspot. So it has helped in this place. I have been able to use it for other projects like uploading videos or podcast episodes. I've been able to get onto the Solus for that. And they do have a new monthly unlimited plan. So we activated that. It's $89 a month for this place where we're staying right now. There's one called Netgear Nighthawk M1. There's one called Glocal Me G4 Pro. There's the Verizon Jetpack MiFi 8800L. I think I tried that one before and it wasn't great for me, but it could have just been my location, but we returned it. We were down in Miami, I think, when I was trying that. And then TP Link M7350. You could try all those. I'll put these in the show notes so you guys can look them up if you want to. And then for RVers or campers, there are some other options. There is Starlink, which is Elon Musk's internet service he created by SpaceX. He designed this to offer high-speed broadband internet access to users in remote and rural areas where conventional like broadband services are not available or are completely unreliable. Users of Starlink, they need to purchase a satellite dish and a modem, and then I think it's like a monthly fee that you pay. And then there's another one called Mobile Must Have that a lot of people have told me about, and it's also like a satellite situation that you mount to the top of your RV or your camper or your van. So those are options. I'll put those at the bottom too in the show notes for you guys. So I want to give you some tips about Wi-Fi. So identify nearby Wi-Fi locations. Before starting your workday, identify some alternative Wi-Fi locations in the area. There are apps you can download that help you find like active public hotspots. I've got one on my phone. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I'll put that down in the show notes too for you guys. It's not that reliable, but I've heard there are others. I need to actually myself follow this advice and look that one up. So you're going to want to identify alternative like Wi-Fi locations, coffee shops, co-working spaces, public libraries. And I'm going to talk more about those places in a minute. But if your primary Wi-Fi connection fails, you'll know exactly where to go if you need to get back online quickly. If you're like in the middle of an important meeting, you need to rush somewhere else, you can message them really quickly and tell them you're looking for another hotspot location. So that's one thing to consider. And then test your connection before your sessions. I'm famous for not doing this, and Ken gets so mad at me. 10 minutes before, I'll be like, oh my God, I can't connect to the internet. And I start panicking, and he comes in and tries to help me, and he gets pissed. He's like, why did you not test this before? And I'm like, I don't know. This fails my brain, but I'm putting it here for you guys to say, just take the time and do it. It'll save you a lot of stress and misery. And I'm talking to myself when I'm saying this. So you can use tools like speedtest.net. This is the one I always use to check the speed and stability of your connection. So it'll tell you how many up and how many down megabytes per second you'll get. Really, I found anything under 20 megabytes per second is not going to work for a Zoom session, especially not simple practice. If simple practice takes more broadband up for some reason, for me anyway, this has been my experience, and I'll oftentimes switch over to Zoom with my clients if that's happening, because sometimes Zoom works better than simple practice. Sometimes it's the opposite. I have no idea why. So if you encounter issues, you'll have time to address them or find an alternative location before your session begins if you test your connections beforehand. Talking to myself here. Next, you're going to want to communicate with your clients. Most of us tell our clients that we're traveling therapists, and you can inform your clients ahead of time about the possibility of Wi-Fi issues and establish a backup plan for rescheduling or continuing a session just through another means. Like I was just saying, I have my Zoom link ready to text to my clients if my simple practice session goes down. I'll send it to them. We'll just hop on Zoom and see if that works better. Or you can try FaceTime or a phone call, which is still allowed with the pandemic, which ends May 11th, 2023. And it's probably not going to be allowed after that. This used to be dictated by our licensing boards. Our licensing boards used to say a phone session was not considered therapy, at least in my state of Virginia. Not all licensing boards say that, but mine did. So you have to check that out. And it is allowed right now, like non-HIPAA compliant type interactions, the phone and even FaceTime is allowed right now in the pandemic, but it's not going to be after May 11th. So make sure you check that out. But have a backup plan with your client, even if it means we have to reschedule. Hey everyone, I wanted to break in here real quick and let you know about a company called Alma. As you may know, I have a variety of resources available to therapists who want to bill insurance in their private practice. I have a comprehensive membership to teach you how to bill on your own, but I also refer mental health practitioners to companies like Alma who can do your billing for you if you don't want to hire billers or do it on your own. If this sounds like the kind of support you need in your insurance-based private practice, consider joining Alma. Get the tools and support you need to manage and grow your private practice, accept insurances, and focus on what matters most, delivering high-quality care to your clients. I've shared my personal referral link in the show notes of this episode if you want to schedule an appointment and check them out. Okay, let's see. Make sure you keep your devices updated. So ensure that your devices, your laptop, your smartphone, any Wi-Fi hotspot devices are updated with the latest software, security patches. This helps minimize the risk of connectivity issues that can be caused by outdated software. I've had that happen once I updated my computer or my Zoom. It worked again fine. So I've definitely had that happen. And just reboot your computer beforehand. That helps. For some reason, it just clears out any leftover old signals or anything you had going on before. Another thing you can do is invest in a Wi-Fi signal booster. So if you are in a situation where you frequently have weak Wi-Fi signals, like you like to camp or you're in an RV in remote places, you can think about investing in a Wi-Fi signal booster. These devices help enhance the strength and the range of the Wi-Fi signal. It'll give you a more reliable connection. So that's definitely something to consider. We used that. We were staying like in a 3-story house, and the Wi-Fi router was downstairs. So we had the booster that was boosting the signal to the other floors, and that really did help make it better for us. And just HIPAA wise with a Wi Fi connection, always remember that if you are seeing a client on a public Wi Fi connection, you need to have a VPN on. And that is basically like a virtual public network. You could download these, they're super cheap. They're like $5 a year or something. It's not expensive. Look, the one we use is PIA VPN, so personal virtual network, I think it's what it is. Basically, it protects you on the public network. It gives you a secure domain and masks really where your IP address is so people can't hop on and trace your IP address and try to hack you, that sort of thing, or listen to your client's sessions. So it's very important to have something like that. Now, you might run into problems with that. I have. Sometimes my VPN has been on and it's blocked public networks. It's made it hard for me to get on a public network. So you're in a real dilemma there because it's not going to work. If you can't use the VPN and the network is blocking you, or the VPN is blocking you from getting on the network, you're probably going to have to find somewhere else to go or reschedule your client or prepare ahead of time, like I was saying before. Another part of Bridget's question is like alternative workspaces, like where can I work if I don't want to be in my home, or for those of us that are traveling therapists. So I just want to touch on a few coffee shops. So we all know coffee shops, right? They've been a favorite among freelancers and digital nomads, remote workers for a long time. They have cozy atmospheres. They have access to caffeine. They have typically really decent Wi-Fi connections that you can use. However, it's essential to find a coffee shop that has comfortable seating and also where you can plug in. So make sure there's outlets where you can plug in. So again, go beforehand. Check the device settings, speedtest.net, to see how fast it is. Bring your Wi-Fi hotspot with you. Use a VPN. And there's HIPAA concerns with coffee shops, right? You can't just sit there and have a session, because even if you have headphones in, really, if someone can hear what you're saying to your client publicly, that's still a HIPAA violation, because they may be able to identify the client by just hearing your end of the conversation. So HIPAA goes both ways. You don't want anyone to hear your client talking, but you also don't want anyone to hear you talking to your client. So if you're in a situation in a coffee shop where there's a million people or people can hear you, that's not going to work. But there are coffee shops where you can get in the way back and there's nobody around. And in my opinion, if nobody can hear you, you're good to go. So those are just things to consider. Just touching on HIPAA a little bit more. If you're a healthcare professional, you work with PHI, protected health information, it's just crucial to maintain HIPAA compliance even when you're working outside of your home. So just some extra little tips around that. If you're working in public spaces, you can use a privacy screen. Privacy screens can help prevent people nearby from viewing sensitive information on your computer. You could be cautious with phone calls. So if you need to discuss patient information on the phone, make sure you find a private area. Use headphones. Keep your voice low to avoid being overheard. You can encrypt your devices, ensure that your devices are encrypted to protect data in case of theft or loss. You can secure your Wi-Fi connection, like I was talking earlier about a VPN. You can, if you're working for somebody else, make sure you check out that organization's policies around HIPAA compliance to make sure you're following those rules as well. It is essential to prioritize privacy and security, especially when we're working with sensitive information. So just remember to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself and your clients. A really good resource is Person-Centered Tech, their podcast. If you have any questions about any kind of HIPAA compliance, security on your devices, go check out their podcast, Person-Centered Tech. There's a million episodes on just the most minute type security issues that you could think of. Definitely go check them out. Okay. So let's see. Another thing to consider is co-working spaces. So co-working spaces, this is like, you can Google co-working spaces in my area. And these are dedicated work areas that are specifically designed for remote workers, freelancers, digital nomads. They provide like a very professional environment with amenities. A lot of these places have amenities like really high Wi-Fi speeds, printing services. Sometimes they have conference room for meetings. And some of these spaces require a membership, or sometimes you can do like a daily fee. And believe me, I've looked for them in Gulf Shores. There are none. The closest one is in Mobile, Alabama, which is an hour from where we're staying. But they can be a great investment if you're a digital nomad and you really need a nice space. There's one called Regis that's pretty much all over the country. I know they have one in Mobile. I don't know if they have a monthly membership fee, but I know they have a daily fee. So you can rent a room there and go work. Just when you're looking for these places, you do want to make sure they provide like reliable high-speed Wi-Fi. You want to make sure they have quiet rooms, like private rooms. So many of these co-working spaces offer designated quiet areas, private rooms, which of course are perfect for conducting therapy sessions without distractions or interruptions. Also, people use these places for networking opportunities. If you're a digital nomad and you're staying in a place for a couple months, you can go to these co-working spaces, and it really does bring together professionals from other fields. A lot of times you'll see people just out working, co-working basically in these spaces, chit-chatting with each other, that sort of thing. So it's a way to build connections, even get referrals if you're like in the business like me. I've got 8 income streams. I'm always dropping like, oh yeah, I have a podcast called The Traveling Therapist. People are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to check that out. It is an opportunity for things like that as well, which is pretty cool. Same with coffee shops, that sort of thing. Some of them have flexible memberships. So many co-working spaces, they have different membership options, including daily, weekly, monthly plans, and a lot of them make it pretty easy to find a plan that can fit your schedule and your budget. And I think I saw one that was like $25 for the whole day for a private room, which is totally worth it if you can do it, in my opinion, just because think if you have to cancel a whole day's worth of clients or spend $25, which is better. Anyway, that's co-working spaces. I want to talk a little bit about that. Let's see, what else I want to tell you guys. Oh yeah, my favorite, public libraries. These places have saved me time and time again. We have been driving down the road. I've had a meeting in 2 hours. We literally pull up Google Maps, type in public library. It'll show you every public library along your route. And I will say, okay, it looks like we'll be at this one in about an hour and a half. I will pick up the phone, call, and ask to reserve a study room. Now, sometimes they don't have study rooms available, which is happening where I am right now in Gulf Shores. So if that's the case, then you can maybe even pull up outside of the library and just use their Wi-Fi. Usually it's like free public Wi-Fi and you can get it from the parking lot. I did that in Sedona, Arizona, because my appointments started at 6 a.m. there and the library didn't open until 10. So I literally sat outside the library and did my sessions that way. And public libraries are often overlooked by a lot of people. They don't think about them, but they have great Wi-Fi usually. They are super quiet. They have private meeting rooms that are pretty much soundproofed. It's a good place to focus. Plus, they're free. These places are free. You don't even need a library card. You just say, hey, I need to use your library. And most of them say that's fine. I did run into one that said I needed to be a resident. But I was like, come on, please. And they actually let me use it anyway. But that was only one time. Yeah, I think that's everything about libraries, pretty much. Just check the hours. They all vary. You would think 9 to 5 or something, or 9 to 8, but that's not true. And like I said, a lot of times the Wi-Fi is just right there. If you walk up, you'll be able to get on it. And of course, you have to use a VPN and check the connection speeds. Sometimes libraries will drop me. I've had that happen. Like I'll be in the middle of a Zoom session and it just drops for some reason, which is super frustrating, but it's happened. That's an option. And I think that's everything about public libraries. Just bring your mobile hotspot in case something happens. And let's see. Okay, now Bridget also asked about working in your car without your battery dying. So let's talk about how to do that. And many of us can find it pretty convenient and often necessary if you're in the middle of traveling or you can't find a place to go. You've got to sit in your car. And there is the real issue that your battery will die. If you do too many sessions, if you're running video sessions in your car, it's an issue. So let's go over some tips for that. Working in your car. Okay, good internet connection. Before you start your video call, make sure you have a reliable internet connection. Like I said before, test everything. Pick the right location, quiet, lit spot where you can comfortably park, where people aren't going to be like telling you to move, or a lot of commotion out in the parking lot, park out in the distance where there aren't a lot of cars, that sort of thing. So I've had that. Shadowy figures walking around behind the car. That's really not cool for a client to see. However, I have a virtual background on, at least on my Zoom, I do. The one on Simple Practice doesn't work very well. but I do use the blur option, blur my background, just for that reason, of shadowy figures. And I don't always want them to know I'm like sitting in my car. And as I was saying before, pull up outside of, like, we're members of Planet Fitness usually has pretty good Wi-Fi. Sometimes it depends on when we're at. Right now, it does not. But a lot of times they do. So you could pull up right outside and use their Wi-Fi at times, things like that. So just look around. Get a phone holder or a tripod, something to hold your computer or your phone up while you're having the session. So you're not just like having to hold your computer or phone the whole time. That gets really hard and it's uncomfortable just to hold your phone steady for an hour session. Bring headphones to avoid background noise. So I have the MacBook AirPod Pros, and I think that's what they're called. And they have noise cancellation. They are excellent. I also have noise cancellation on my computer through an app called Crisp. So anyway, you can do that to avoid background noise and to just cut it out completely. Keep your devices charged. Okay. Yes, obviously, charge everything before you go. Make sure everything's been plugged in all night and take it with you. Bring a backup device, so a computer, an iPad, and your phone, so in case you need to switch devices. Bring a portable power bank to charge your phone, laptop, or tablet or whatever. We had one of these where you could just plug it in so you can charge that overnight. And I get a full MacBook charge on that device before it runs out. So I can literally plug the plug into it and charge my MacBook. You just don't want to get caught with a dead battery mid video call, especially if it's something intense going on in a session. And then lastly, you can install a car charger or invest in a solar powered battery charger. Those are options that you can do. There are like things called power inverters. It's like a device for your car's 12-volt DC battery, and it changes from a DC power outlet to 110-volt AC power outlet. So you can like reverse that way and charge. You can literally plug into these. And it allows you to charge your laptop or your devices without killing your battery. You just have to leave your car on. Turn off all unnecessary things on your device. So don't have a million windows open in the background. Don't have any other video apps running. Turn off notifications. Turn the brightness down on your device. All of those things will help with maintaining your battery. And if your car's not running, start your engine periodically. You can turn it back on, and you can, if you're plugged into an AC power device, you can charge your device that way. Just leave the car running even if you want to prevent the device from dying on you, because that's the worst. So those are some tips. And I hope this helps. So you guys, if you have tips I didn't talk about, let me know, because I know we have a lot of experienced traveling therapists out there have figured out great options for all of this. So let me know. And Bridget, thanks for your question. I hope this helps you. That's it for today's episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I hope you found these alternative workspaces and car efficiency tips helpful. Even the HIPAA compliance tips, I hope you keep that in mind. If you have any questions, suggestions for future episodes, don't hesitate to reach out. I really want to do these listener question episodes every once in a while and just give you some like solid information about different topics. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and please leave a review. It helps other people find this and start to live their dreams as traveling therapists. Okay, take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist Podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.